Hi, my name's Luke Nicholson. Welcome to the very first episode of Precise Routes. This is a fantasy football vlog where I focus on projections, and I'm going to try to bring you guys the best content I can. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background about me and about what I'm going to provide to you here through my videos. So I started my fantasy football foray started back in Christmas 1996. I got a NFL football game for Christmas. Don't remember what the game was called, but it was really cool. You could set up your own formations, have wide receivers inside, linemen lined up outside, pick who your eligible receivers were. It was a really cool premise. I wish I remember what the game was called because it was really cool. Anyway, this game came with a book, a fantasy football book. It was pretty thick. It had lots of content in it. I digested the crap out of that book. I loved it. And when it came time for the 1997 season to start, I said, I got to try this fantasy football thing. It also came with a fantasy football program, which was awesome. If you're familiar with My Fantasy League, it was the predecessor to that. It was called Fantasy League Manager, I believe, FLM, if I recall correctly. Anyway, so that was the program that I was using. Anyway, so I was late notice for the 1997 season, so I got together with a couple members of my family, made my mom have a team, my dad had a team, my sister had a team, and then I had a team, obviously. None of us really knew what we were doing. I came up with my own scoring system based off of what I had read about. Long distance touchdowns were more points, long field goals were more points. I don't even remember what other kind of zany things there were. Stuff that isn't standard today, though. It was a fun time and a fun little experiment for me. For the 1998 season, when I actually got some of my friends together and we formed an actual league, well ahead of the start of the season. So that league actually played. We stuck around together for about 10 years. A couple owners came and went, but for the most part, we kept our base. Took a little hiatus, and we actually got the league back together after the hiatus, maybe about 10 years ago, and we're still going today. So a little bit about fantasy football and how it's progressed from when I started reading a book that came with a video game to where we are today. So in the early days of fantasy football, I had my little book that I got with my video game where I read, and then you would go to the store and you'd get your fantasy football magazine. You'd show up at your draft with your magazine with the cheat sheets inside, and that's how you would draft your team. Then technology kicked in. We had fantasy football dedicated websites. So you could get all your fantasy information, all your news. You could join a community, get feedback from other members of that community, and you could learn everything in one-stop shop. It was amazing. I was a member of a couple of such communities, and in fact, one of the communities that I was in, I decided to try to take on a more prominent role in, because I had come up with a formula for projections, probably around 2000, around that year. And I had dabbled with it a little bit and hadn't really set out and did standard projections to post anywhere and share with people, but I'd used them for my own personal use a little bit at that point. So I decided I'm going to start publishing my projections just in a spreadsheet, throw it on this website in the forums, and I would offer help in the help forums, ask me anything type kind of thing about your fantasy football team. So I did that for a couple years where I was posting my own projections, putting myself out there for people to see how I did and call me out if I was wrong, give me praise if I was right. It was a little bit of both. So what ended up happening next is another fantasy football site. It was a newer site, just starting up, and one of the guys that was starting it reached out to me, and he said, "Hey Luke, I like what you're doing with these projections. I like how you're engaging in the community here. I want you to come and I want you to have your projections be our projections for our website." And I said, "Heck yeah, I'm on board for that." So I did projections for that website, which is now defunct for 3 or 4 seasons, I think. It was time consuming as all heck, and I was in college at the time, so eventually it kind of burned out on it, especially then when I got an internship and then went into the workforce. So I burned myself out doing the projections a little bit, but I always enjoyed doing them, and it's something I've toyed with on and off since then, not publishing anything for the public to see, but using it for my own personal gain, or if I had some friends that had some fantasy football questions, I'd crunch some numbers for them real quick and say, "Hey, this is what I think." So that brings us to today. I see that everything's going video now, and I wanted to bring projections to video, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to sit down to put in the time, crunch my numbers, get some numbers for you guys to digest, and I'm going to lay it out to you here in video format. I'm going to produce some spreadsheets for you too, so you have the numbers to view for yourself if I don't cover what you want to know in my videos. So I think my plan is to do 2 videos a week. I'm going to do one where I cover my weekly projections, give you guys an idea of what I'm expecting from certain players I expect to be studs, players I expect to be duds on a week-to-week basis. The second video I plan on doing is something I used to do whenever I wrote for the fantasy football website. It was an article I did put out weekly called 3 and Out, where I would look at the next 3+ weeks of the season and try to project all the way out so that you could get an idea of maybe some of those waiver wire claims that are sitting there. Maybe this guy's going to be a good deal. Maybe this guy's going to tail off, and maybe I should try to trade him while his value's high. So it gives you a different dynamic of looking ahead and planning out your season, planning your roster ahead of time. So that's my plan, 2 videos a week. I'm actually going to get a later start because I don't have any projections. I haven't done projections for years now. I'm still using the same formula though. So the formula that's worked for me for all these years is the formula you are going to be getting. But since I haven't done projections for years, I don't have any numbers to start with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up my sample size, starting with week 1, week 2, week 3. I think by week 4, I'm going to be very happy at the projections. But I think I'm going to start doing the bi-weekly, or not bi-weekly, but 2 videos a week starting in week 3. So that'll give me a sample size that I'm confident enough in giving you guys that information and letting you run with it, letting you judge me for that content. Until then, I plan on doing a weekly video where I just talk about things, talk about where I am as far as getting my numbers together, just to touch base with everybody and say hi. So that sounds like something that interests you. Please subscribe, notification bell, like the videos. I want you to get my content because I think I have something good to offer you guys. Like I said, I'm going to try to post 1 video a week for the first couple weeks, and then we're going to dive in, do the two videos a week from there on out. Maybe I'll up it to 3 if there's more that I need to cover at that point in time. But until next week, guys, I hope you guys do well in your week 1 matchups. I unfortunately don't have any kind of insight to offer you guys. But, I mean, if you do have questions, hit me up in the comments, and I will more than gladly give you my opinion, but statistical analysis isn't going to be there. So until next week, good luck to you, and I hope to see you back here again for more precise routes.